Hi, loves, and welcome to the With Love Always podcast, a podcast to help you live the life you were created for. We are your hosts and your friends, Bree
and Marissa,
and we're so grateful you're here.
We pray you listen and leave feeling more inspired, encouraged, and uplifted. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. In today's episode, we are going to be talking all about goal setting, goal achieving, all of the good, the bad that comes along with it. I love this topic so much. I am someone who is such a goal-oriented person. I feel like it's just such a North Star in my life, and I really get so excited about setting goals and everything that comes with it. But I also know that goals can and have been for me, they've been intimidating for so many times in my life and for so many of my friends. And this goes beyond New Year's resolutions and all the things, although I do think it's never too late. Like, now is the perfect time to start. Or if you've already started and you are feeling discouraged because you just don't feel like you can stick to some of your resolutions and some of your goals, I really hope that this perspective can kind of reframe the way that you view your goals and approach them. And I just hope it provides just a sense of peace as you approach some of the things you want to achieve, and just, kind of a new way to go about doing that.
Yeah, I think with this episode, there is something really beautiful when we set actionable intentions for a year. Yeah. And something that we've mentioned before is we do not want this year to be a repeat of last year. Not because last year was bad. Maybe last year was your best year of your life. And in ways I had so many beautiful moments, but also moments that I'm like, you know what? I have the ability to partner with God and bring actionable change. And so I think if there's anything we can encourage with this episode is we are really wanting to inspire goals and intentions and resolutions, if you will, for the purpose of giving God room to actually show up in the ways that you want to see made changed. Yes. And I think that heart posture alone is so different than the worldly concept of New Year's resolutions, new year, new me, coming from a place of I'm so dissatisfied with who I am. But instead of being like, wow, God, I want to really give you a pathway to guide my steps towards more of what you have designed for me all along. And it's going to require action. The plans set forth that God has for us require our action as well. And He, yes, is the author director of all of it, but He wants us to be willing to make the steps forward, pave the way, have the line of sight of what we are working towards, and He will partner with you to complete and honor the rest. But there's something really, really powerful about not letting the year just escape you and just being like, well, it's just another year. Whatever happens, happens. No, set your sight on the things that God has put on your heart. Set your sights on the things you do want to accomplish, and watch this year truly become your dream year because of it. And also, I believe the more documented evidence of what you're praying for, working towards, is actually will be a deeper encouragement for you later in the year when you start seeing those things come to fruition, because you have them written. And I think when we are looking for specific things for God to move in our life and we are working towards them, we are more likely to see them than them just happening by chance. So think of this practice as, yes, something that is ready to transform your life and your year into your dream life or dream year, whatever it may be, but also as a way to increase your faith, because there's something really special when you can look back at a time when you were believing for something and then you're walking in the answered prayer. And sometimes we forget. And the only reason why we remember is because it's documented somewhere. So that is a huge heart posture with this episode as well. So we're so excited to dive in.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love everything you shared. I think with our first couple episodes, we talked about words of the year and then things we were praying for, intentions. So I'm just going to kind of briefly touch on that element. But I also want to say, like, whether you haven't done that yet, awesome, like this is the perfect chance, we'll kind of run through it. But if you already have, this is really going to get into the weeds of, okay, we have this vision. Okay, we're dreaming with God. We're so excited. But how do we actually implement that and actually stick to it? Mm-hmm. And I really pray that this conversation just gives us equipping and tools in order to do that. And it truly has been learned through trial and error in both of our lives. So to kick it off, the first element that we're going to talk about is becoming envisioned. This can be a lot of different things. This can be the time that you sit down and you are building your vision board. This can be you praying with God and finding a word or a verse for the year to kind of guide your steps. I know for me, at least one of my absolute favorite ways to start the year is to do a digital detox. I did this last year and I'm currently doing it right now, where I just try to disconnect, unplug as much as I can. I think a lot of times people do that like going into the new year, but then they instantly get hit with all of these things once the new year starts. I think January, February, honestly, anytime, but earlier in the year, like just choosing a month, whatever month you want it to be, like setting aside a whole month to just truly disconnect, detox, and just have this extra space and time, but also mental clarity to just hear God so clearly, to hear your thoughts so clearly, to just kind of put all of the outside noise away. I think that is such a beautiful way to become rooted and really have that space and that time and that clarity to just think like, what is it that I want my year to truly look like? Mm-hmm. Beyond some of the superficial things, beyond some of the things I want, who is it that I actually want to become in this year? Do I want to be more loving? Do I want to be more kind? Envision that person that you want to see, that version of yourself in December 2025, and then make that kind of your framework and work backwards from there. But however you want to remember that can come in so many different forms. But I think that's really the key with this first step.
Yeah, I think it's so easy to just get swept away. It's a new year. You're so excited, but then you just jump right on back into normal routines, like business as usual, whether it's work, it's friendships, it's all of the beautiful gifts of life, but the things that are stripping you of capacity, time, and intention to really sit with yourself. And I think that's the whole purpose behind being envisioned, is give yourself the space to actually sit with yourself, cancel plans, slow down, take a weekend away, like take a day or take a month off social media, whatever that needs to look like for you. I know for me, I feel fortunate enough that I feel like my being envisioned timed was when I was at home for the holidays, and my life in LA was literally forced to stop because I was at home with my family and I was in nature and there was nothing else to do. But get really clear with what you are hoping for and pursuing and who you want to become in the new year. And there's, so many different ways that you can put this to practice, whether it's just like, I think one component will always be sitting in silence, praying through the things that God puts on your heart. But I think also the beautiful action steps of, making a vision board or writing down your word for the year. I know something that me and my family do, which is a really sweet tradition, is we write ourselves like a letter that we will open at the end of the year. So when I was at home for the holidays, I opened my letter that I wrote to myself a year ago, and I did the same practice and like wrote to my future self. I think there's something really beautiful about that. And I write the letter with the intention of I don't read it until the end of the year. And some might even say, well, then what's the point? Because you forget what you wrote. But actually, that's the whole beautiful part of it. So whether you write yourself a letter that you do read every day or that you forget about till the end of the year, just spend the time to be intentional. Don't allow your life to just continue forward without giving yourself this moment to dream, to have your vision board in your mind or create your vision board on Pinterest, whatever it is, because that will really guide and direct the intentions and the goals that you actually set forth versus just allowing your life to just like continue forward. I don't know. I think it's easy for time to just slip by and think, well, it's too late. It's literally never too late. Like just because we're a month or so into the new year, it's still very much the beginning. So count this as your new beginning if you haven't done this yet. And it will really inspire you for what you might not even know right now in this moment is dwelling within your heart or stirring or something you're getting excited about that you didn't even give yourself a chance to realize you would be. And so cannot encourage this enough.
Okay, step number 2, now that you are fully envisioned and you know what you want your year to look like, it's to actually get practical and think of what you need to remove and what you need to add in order to actually achieve that. And I think this is where the beauty of actually doing this not immediately at the start of the year, like being where we currently are, I think can kind of serve as an advantage because sometimes going into the very start of the new year, we have like all of this new vision and energy, not mixed with a lot of like practicality. So I think when we can actually get re-envisioned, but then also realize the constraints of our life and realize that, oh, wow, this year's been busier than I was expecting, or I am struggling to make time to uphold these new goals. I think that's where it can be helpful with this to just be as realistic as you possibly can and be so honest with yourself. And I know for me, I like to write down like what my limits are. Like, where is the space and the advantages I have and the space to dream and to make this dream year possible, but also what are the practical everyday constraints that I'm working with. I think recognizing and upholding both is the best thing that you can do for yourself. And this morning I was reading The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, and this quote just really stuck out to me, and I felt like it was something I really needed to receive. And it reads, "One of the key tasks of our apprenticeship to Jesus is living into both our potential and our limitations." And I think this is so true when it comes to anything goal related, anything future oriented. We have to be so honest with what are the actual constraints of our life. Like, are we a mom with a job and 2 kids and life is crazy and we just hardly have any time? Like, that's actually a very helpful constraint that we are intended to work within. Like, I don't think we should ever aspire to have a life that was never intended for us. I think Jesus gives us potential and limitations out of his kindness. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I'm a firm believer that our purpose and all of that is intended to complement that. So I would say, like, even for me, sometimes I'll write down things and I'm like, this really stinks that I have to work within these limits, but I've kind of just been reframing it and seeing it as a blessing. And I've, for the first time, actually just written it down because I've in the past not always wanted to confront or acknowledge it. And I'm like, you know what? I need a lot of sleep and I am not a super high capacity person. Like, I can't do a million things like some people can. I can do a few things well. So let me be super intentional with the few things. Like, let me just choose 1 or 2 things.
That's so good. I think with the removing and the adding, I think getting as specific as you possibly can with this. I know that, you know, whether it's like removing time spent here or removing, you know, an expense here or removing, you know, friendship here or career here, whatever it may be, getting specific with what you are hoping to remove, or maybe it's a limiting belief. Maybe it's a, you know, struggle with the way that you're viewing yourself. Maybe it's a wrongful narrative over a circumstance in your life that's bringing heaviness. There's so many things in our life that we can remove that are really tangible or, you know, really inward. And I think once you just like write that list of what are the things right now that are either one, harming or hindering you, or what are the things in your life that are holding you back, what are the things in your life that you're giving too much time to that you can't dedicate to the things that you hope and aspire towards. Getting really specific with this list of, okay, God, what are the things you're asking me to surrender? I think surrender is a really beautiful word in that. But yeah, just inviting God to reveal to you the areas in your life you need to lay down in order to add anew. And so I think in the adding, just as Marissa said, whether it's a habit or whether it's a hope or whether it's a new routine or whether it's a new career endeavor, whatever you're hoping to add, the thing is, at least I've found in my life, you often can't add a new beautiful thing without surrendering the old. So I think the surrender has to be in play. And if you are unwilling to let go of something here, you will be truly incapable of adding, implementing, and flourishing here. And so there has to be a great exchange of what is the thing that you identify as holding you back, whether, like I said, it's where you live or a job or your finances or your limiting beliefs or whatever it is, a friendship, your time. Something has to change over here in order to usher in the new blessing. And I always think about it this way. It's like where one door is shut, where you are shutting a door, God can then open 10 new doors of possibilities of what he is leading you into, but you have to be willing to let something go. And it's a beautiful exchange, but it is something that's going to require your action, your discipline, and your awareness that something needs to change. And I know for myself, stepping into the hopes and the promise of a lot of exciting, but also really scary change, God has literally told me, he's like, Brie, I cannot usher in the new blessing unless you let go of the old. And I'm like, okay, God, like you're giving me the action step. So I just have to do it now, So very, very important with any prospects of hopes is we cannot expect to remain the same and have a different outcome. We have to move in action towards different ways and different choices and different releases in order to be ready to even be available for a new blessing.
And I think that's where so many of us can go off track. Like a lot of people will say it's discipline. And I do think there's an element of that. But honestly, I think it's this is the missing planning piece that we so often neglect. And if we're going to achieve something we haven't just achieved before, there has to be that moment of true honesty where it's like, okay, I'm here and I want more of this in my life in this new year. Like, let's say I want more of God. Like, I have to be really honest and see like there is a gap of who I currently am now and who I ultimately want to become. And there are things that without me like just wanting to add all these things of like so much more quiet time and going to these Bible studies and reading the Bible every morning, all of those things are great. But I think there's the honesty of like, okay, what are my limitations? What do I want to achieve? What am I working with? And what do I need to first remove? And it's not until you provide space for that that you can then start dreaming up, okay, what is it that I actually need to add? So that kind of takes us to one of our final steps, I would say. And this, again, trying to keep it as simple as possible. And this is where you've kind of identified the things that you need to remove, the things you want to add. And something I found really helpful for me, and again, there's no perfect way to do this, but it's to identify what are 1 to 2 things. I would say ideally start with one thing that you feel like is most important of if I could only walk away with this one goal being achieved or adding this one new thing to my life, this would be the most important. I would start with that and I would honestly just focus on the next month. Dedicate this month to being the month that you are going to start, not even like achieving it yet, but just start trying to put into place practices. So I would say once you've identified that, then pick 1 to 2 practices that you either do daily or weekly to then uphold that goal or that thing you're trying to achieve. So, and a very like simple example of this would be if you're someone who is like, okay, health is the most important thing this year. I want to exercise more. That is my goal. the practical thing, the action item is, okay, I'm going to go on a 20-minute walk every day at 8 a.m. I'm marking my calendar for the next month. I'm dedicating this time, and here's what I had to remove in order to provide space for that. And just focus on that. That's it. Maybe you have something that's a weekly goal too, but I would say really just trying to limit it to 1 to 2 things is key. If that goes well, then you can keep adding on in additional months, but just focus on getting that first victory that will then fuel the rest of the victories throughout the year.
Yes, I love that so much. And I think that just ties right back to the removing and the adding. We cannot be adding 10 new goals to our plate all at once, because we will not be able to achieve them all, because you can't, just as you can't add 10 new goals, you can't remove 10 old habits all at once. And I think a huge intention is, at least in mindset and framing this, is what is something that I can do with complete excellence. And I think oftentimes we can be in life good at a multitude of things, but you really can only be excellent at the one thing you spend the most time on. And so instead of trying to be all right at 10 different goals, why don't you just focus and hone in on one goal that you can be really excellent in, and you can master and feel confident in and be disciplined in, or whatever that looks like for you. And then when you feel confident and you feel like satisfied with that goal, then move forward. And I think sometimes that mindset can feel like a hindrance, or it's setting you back, because we so desperately want to be high overachieving and have a multitude of goals we're achieving all at once. And if that works for you, that's great. But I think reminding yourself of, like, you are putting to practice being excellent at one thing, let that be enough, because it is enough. And most people who put those 10 really, really grand goals on their resolutions list at the beginning of the year don't achieve them all, if any, sometimes, because that's where you get overwhelmed in defeat and discouragement and in your limitation, and you're not able to give the full attention to every single goal that you desire to see happen in the year. So I think, just find what you feel most fixated on in this season or in these upcoming months, work towards that, and then allow new goals to unlock from that place. I know for myself, like, a goal of mine is just to be more creative, and it is to just post on Instagram more. And for me, I've just been really pressing into prayer of, like, okay, God, what does that look like? And an action step that I've done for myself is I write it on my daily to-do list, is to, like, give myself, not daily, because, life doesn't always allocate that, but I started this year having a daily to-do list, and I never did that for myself, really. I would only do that for work. And I was like, no, what's Bree's daily to-do list? Like,
I love that.
What are the things that I want to accomplish? And sometimes it's like not fun things, like do my laundry, but then sometimes, like, it's okay, Bree, go on a walk, be creative with God, bring your camera, film. And I, like, make it a priority that, okay, tonight I know on the sunset walk, I'm going to be creative because it fills my cup. And then when I go home from my walk, I'm going to download the footage. I'm going to pray and write and see what God inspires. And if something comes up, then I get the joy of sharing it on social media the next day. That is a really big priority for me in this season. And yes, I can continue to create whimsically, but there's something really beautiful about putting actionable intention and carving out time in my calendar to make it happen. And I literally put it in my Google Calendar of, Bree, like, this is your dream time. Go off and dream. And so there's something really just powerful about being really intentional and focusing in on that one goal of yours.
I love that. And that actually is even challenging what I was saying of, like, starting with the thing you think is most important. I think what could actually work well too is start with the thing you're most excited about.
Yeah, that's
because
good.
If you really want to have that first month be a victory, which I think is so key, start with the thing that gets you so excited. Like, the thing you don't feel like, I just have to do this, but the goal that, like, feels like a passion that gets you excited every time you think about it. I think that's such a great idea. And I love the idea of having a to-do list that isn't just filled with everything you have to do, where life feels like such a grind and thing after thing, like carving out space to just be and do things that fill your cup. I think that's so key to just having healthy longevity for this year. I think that should be something we all should prioritize, and even is going to then, like, I'm thinking right now, okay, I need to go back and look at my goal list and make sure that I didn't just say goals of things I feel like I should do, but also things that I'm really excited to do, that I like would get excited to implement. So I think that's awesome. Okay, the last final thing that kind of is going to conclude this episode a little bit is, if you feel like you've heard all of this and you still kind of feel stuck of, okay, but where do I actually start? I'm just feeling a little bit lost. This framework I just came up with, I haven't really tried it, but I think it could be helpful. And it is to pick whatever that goal, whatever that thing is. And then in order to break it down, I wrote, pick one habit to go along with it, one boundary. So that's most likely the thing that you need to actually guard, protect that time. Like you shared, protect the time to be creative. And then one prayer to go alongside with it. I think in all of this, we are naive to think we can just go become a better version of ourselves off of our own strength. I know for me, my strength always comes from God. He is my anchor. He is who allows me to keep growing, and he's who allows me to have a fruitful year, fruitful life. And so having a prayer, just, it can be a simple word, it could be a simple sentence that just goes alongside with that goal, asking him for strength. It will not only invite him into that, but it will also be that reminder of, okay, I'm not doing this alone. This isn't some crazy thing. Like, I'm partnering with God, and we get to work alongside each other to carve out space for this thing. And it just gives you a new sense of hope.
Yeah, I love that so much. And I think going off of the habit, boundary, and prayer, an example of that. So like my habit that I'm really focusing on is giving myself more space to create. I have other habits, of course, but like just, following suit with that, knowing that that is a new habit that I am trying to intentionally implement. A boundary that I am implementing in my calendar is making sure I have designated nights during the week where I am willing to say no to plans. And if someone wants to come on my sunset walk with me that night, I respectfully say no, because this is my time to create. If someone wants to come over after I come back home from my walk, I decline, because this has already been in my calendar that this is me and God's time to be creative. I put my phone on do not disturb. I do not respond to text. And I literally just press into time journaling, seeing what words are inspired by my time with God. And from that place, I create. And I think in that's like an implementation just in that specific habit of setting forth the intention that I want to be more creative, making sure I have the boundary of not allowing life to interrupt this really sacred time that I'm choosing to be sacred towards me. And then in that hope and in that process, asking God to come to inspire my words and to be the fuel that literally restores me as a creative. I think specifically on the topic of being creative and loving photos and videos and writing and all that sort of goodness, I can definitely do that from my own strength if I want to. But literally the words or the creativity or whatever it may be that comes to me, the best is always when I'm prayerful before God, when I'm allowing him to usher in what he wants me to create and what he is using to inspire. And I think that gives me so much purpose. And so really allowing your resolutions, your habits, your boundaries to all be centered and grounded on the foundation of prayer is going to be the thing that actually allows you to keep forth the momentum, because you will not be driven by your own strength. I know specifically on the topic of creative, as a creative, there's times I try to create for my own strength. It falls so short. I grow so empty, so burnt out. Only by the foundation of prayer am I able to successfully move forward. And that will be with any habit, with exercise, with career growth, with financial goals, with anything. Like, you will be burnt out if you do anything apart from God, that is a promise. The best goal, the best intention, the best habits, the best boundaries will not uphold anything without the firm foundation of prayer. So I love that. I think that's really, really powerful. And I think that is going to be the thing and the component and the missing piece that sets your goals apart from even the world and the world's strategy of like looking inward to just the best version of you. It's like, no, who's the version that God created me to be? And how do I clothe myself in that identity and walk and step forth in that? And I really believe there's a different kind of supernatural power that will fuel the momentum of your year and fuel the momentum of the goals that you do dream and create.
Okay, you guys, for this week's Love Notes, we thought it would be fun to do a little chatty, current favorites, what we're loving so far in 2025. Some of these are new, some are old, but we're just going to run through a list and share. So the first one, now that Brie is a reader, which makes me so happy, what is your current favorite book or book you're reading?
So I haven't started reading it yet, but I have a good friend who she's actually quite a few decades older than me. But she actually encouraged me with this book that, like I said, I just got in the mail the other day, but it's How to Keep a Date Worth Keeping by Henry Cloud.
Oh.
And so I'm excited to read it. I'm pretty confident he's a Christian author. So I was just open to her suggestions. So that is going to be my next current read.
Ooh, that sounds really good. I'm like, is that still applicable to me? I'm not sure.
I think not, but I'll let you know how it goes.
Okay. So I used to be someone who didn't read a ton of fiction, and I have since tried to change that in the last year. So my sister-in-law for Christmas, I was like, get me your favorite fiction book. And she got me, I think it's called The 7-Year Slip, and it's a super cute little like love story. It takes place in New York. And it's just like a fun little rom-com. I definitely recommend it. So
I love fiction.
Yeah, I can give you the book. Remind me. I feel like you'd really like it.
I think I would love it.
Okay, favorite snack?
Favorite snack? I don't know. I feel like I'm actually not a big snacker. I eat a lot of fruit. That's such a boring snack though.
No, I love fruit.
I think my favorite snack is honestly grapes and apples. I know that sounds so lame and like healthy, but it's genuinely my favorite snack.
That sounds good. I have been loving, I feel like there's a few, but the one that comes to mind is kind of random. It's this cashew yogurt.
Oh, yum.
And I've tried so many dairy-free yogurts, and this one, I think it's by the brand Forager, and it's their vanilla one.
Oh yeah, I've tried that.
It's so good.
It's delish.
And I will put like granola, almond butter, fruit on top, and it's so much fun because you can just like mix up how you have it each time, so it doesn't really get old, but it's like a good filling snack too. So maybe it's more of a breakfast item, but I will have that like before I go to bed.
That sounds so good. My only other snack is I do love chopsticks.
What?
Chopsticks, like the meat sticks.
Oh, I thought you said chopsticks.
Yeah, I love chopsticks. I love eating some wood. Actually, I love chomps. I do eat one of those, like if I want like a high protein snack on the go. And I was on TikTok. I pray that by the time this episode comes out, that TikTok was not banned because I love TikTok. Marissa's like, I'm never on TikTok. But I was watching this TikTok and it was this reel, oh my gosh, it was so sweet, of this older gentleman and his daughter was like posting on behalf of his dad's business, and it was called Wyoming Authentic like beef sticks. And so it's basically like a meat stick, like a healthy snack. And it was so cute. He was like promoting his business. I bought those immediately. I actually literally picked up the package before driving over here, and I ate one in the car.
How was it?
It was so good. It was like the best meat stick snack I've ever had. So yeah, that is probably my other snack obsession.
I love that. That's unexpected.
A high protein girly.
Okay, current favorite music.
So I'm very passionate about my music, and honestly, one of my favorite compliments is when someone says that they listen to my playlist. I'm such a huge playlist girl, and so every season I always create a new playlist because typically I like to listen to the same songs or like add songs in a playlist according to like winter and fall and summer and spring. And it's so beautiful because I do it that way because I love to be able to look back at these playlists and remember exactly how I felt in this season of life. And so I currently have my winter playlist.
I love a good winter cozy playlist.
And I'm very passionate about my songs in my playlist. I'm very passionate about the titles of my playlist. So this playlist is titled Puffer and Shorts because in California, and it literally has like a description of West Coast winters where you're wearing like your puffer jacket, but you'll be wearing shorts. And my fall playlist was dang, I forgot. But like my summer playlist was Stand in My Sneaks. So I'm very passionate about my names.
I love them.
But I would say my playlist, and I typically listen to I'm a very indie folk, indie pop kind of girl. I just love to feel good. Like when I listen to my music, I like to feel good. I don't know, like inspired or happy or like all those emotions. I don't like to feel sad.
Occasionally there are a few moments where I'm like, I want to be in.
I want to feel it. Yeah.
But I agree. I think we have very similar music taste. I've just been loving in the fall folk, like honestly year round is so good. And then anything I've always been into kind of more indie stuff. I think it's called like Novo Amor or something.
Oh yeah. So good.
Yes. Okay, an artist that I just discovered, he's actually Welsh. That's cool. Called Novo Amor. And I don't know, I just was like playing him on repeat the other day. And his stuff it felt like cozy, wintry. It was definitely very wintry. And it was just exactly what I needed.
Yeah, you would love my playlist.
Send it to me.
I will.
You should post it on our podcast story.
I should. Novo Amor is like one of my favorite artists.
Okay, I looked. I was like, I would love to see him live. I feel like he'd be so good.
That would be like.
Let me know if he ever plays a show.
Yeah, I should look at concerts coming up.
Do you have a favorite clothing item at the moment?
I think because it's like, I was going to say fall, winter. It's actually just winter. I honestly just love like my good like fleece little coat that I'll like put on. It's nothing special. I actually, when I was at home for the holidays, my dad let me take home like one of his like black fleece jackets. Literally nothing special, but to me it's special because it's my dad's. And I've just been wearing it over everything. And I also have like another fleece cozy jacket that's just like beige. Once again, nothing special, but there's something about putting it on and just knowing that I need to be cozy and warm that makes me really happy. And then honestly, Marissa, this is gonna be so funny. You know the brown puffer jacket you gave me last year? Yeah. That is my most worn jacket.
I'm so glad.
I'm obsessed with her. I wear him. So every time after recording, we'll always like go and get dinner after. And usually
it's always freezing. I don't know why.
It's always freezing. And literally a year ago, I would like borrow the same brown puffer jacket from Marissa every single time I'd come over. And she was like, you can just have it. I never wear it. That is my most.
Your jacket. In my mind, I was like, this is Bree's jacket. Like I'm just housing your jacket.
It is literally my favorite jacket ever. That was the greatest blessing you could have given me.
So glad. It looks so cute on you. I actually was going to say very similarly, it's like a lightweight, I don't know if you'd call it a puffer, but it's kind of that material. And it's like a deep green. And I
know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, I love wearing it. I think it's because I didn't really wear puffers growing up. I don't know if it's gotten colder or I'm just more sensitive to the cold. But there's something so cozy about it. And it's like the perfect, okay, what it makes me think of that jacket, it's the perfect like post-sunset at the beach jacket where it kind of breaks the wind, but it like insulates you, but it's not too thick. It's just perfect. I love her.
Perfect.
Okay, last one is I put favorite app because I had something in mind. But let me know if you have anything that comes to mind.
I feel like yours is going to be sweet and mine is just going to be not. Mine is TikTok. I love TikTok.
The content you post on TikTok.
Oh, I think that's why I love it. Like, I love the way it's so easy to freely create on TikTok. I feel really inspired and I don't know, I just love it. It's so special to me creating on there. I pray that by the time this episode comes out that TikTok was not banned. I don't think it will be, but it's definitely my favorite app.
I love that. For me, I recently discovered, I had heard about it, an app, and it kind of has become my addiction. I'm actually not on it that much, but I'm kind of supposed to be doing a social media detox. So I'm like, I don't know if this counts as social media. I don't count it, but it's called Substack. And have you heard of it?
I don't think I have.
I think it's been around for a little bit. I kind of feel like it's going to have its moment here in 2025. But essentially it's like if people were to have a blog, like you can, when you follow them, it becomes like an email newsletter for you, which there's something so cool about when I only follow a couple people, so I'm personally getting their newsletters in my email. And it feels so sweet to have that kind of like intimacy with creators online. Like there's something very old school and special about it. And it's kind of like the anti-social media social media. Like a lot of creators on there don't exist on other platforms, which is really cool.
Oh, that's so cool.
So I feel like it's very high quality content and excellent writers. And it's been a really fun space for me specifically. Like I'm someone who craves that creative outlet, and it's fun to see people be creative on there. And there still are like, you can share like images a little bit, and it's always the most like aesthetic people. For some reason, my feed is all like these whimsical women that live in cottages in England that just like romanticize life and bake cozy treats from scratch. Like that is my feed.
That sounds like a dream.
And it is so magical. And I feel like I'm just whisked away to this like alternate world when I'm reading on there. It's very much a fun social media to like romanticize your life. So
I love that.
I was like, maybe we'll start a Substack. Who knows?
Oh, maybe, yeah. I want to look into it now.
But that concludes our love notes. We hope you guys enjoyed. We hope, as always, this episode you found valuable. We love you guys. We're so excited to be in the swing of things in 2025. Can't wait to see what else is to come. And we will see you in our next episode. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for listening. We pray this episode was encouraging and life-giving. If you found it valuable, please share it with a friend, leave a review, and subscribe.
And be sure to follow us along over on Instagram at With Love Always Podcast. Signing off with all of our love always, Bree
and Marissa.